the organization, Advocate Kalimpofu. The next to Commissar Lian Mateis is the Secretary General, Godrich Gadi. And on the other side of the chairperson is the deputy president of the EFF, Nico Shiba, and the president, Julius Mane. Thank you, President.
I can start.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The Economic Freedom Fighters held its 6th ordinary meeting of the Central Command Team on the 3rd of September 2016 at the EFF headquarters in Braamfontein, Johannesburg. The CCT was convened to deal with normal organizational processes, reports, and adoption of the 2016 local government election closing report. The following issues constitute the key resolution adopted by the CCT local government election. The CCT commended the work of all ground forces of the EFF for selflessly working for the EFF despite the massive resource limitation that defined the EFF campaign machinery in the 2016 local government election. The result of the 2016 local government election gave the EFF a total of 826 local, metro, and district councils, which includes 11 wards, meaning that the people of South Africa have bestowed their trust and confidence in 826 fighters who will represent their interests across municipality council in South Africa. The EFF once again convey its thankfulness to the voters of South Africa for showing confidence in the EFF. The CCT is pleased that the EFF is the party that recorded the highest growth in terms of local government election, because we started from 0 to more than 2.4 million votes. This is the first time the EFF partake in local government election, and even compared to 2014 general election, the EFF is the only party of the top 3 that has increased the numbers of votes. The ANC and official opposition number of votes have decreased as compared to 2014. This illustrates that the EFF is an organization of the future which will lead South Africa sooner than many people anticipate. The CCT further resolved that thorough review of the EFF elected councillors should be conducted with the aim of reaffirming councillors whose wards have performed well and address the concern of disciplined members of the EFF about the list processes. In this regard, all EFF PR councillors who come from wards which have received less than 100 votes will be requested by the CCT to withdraw from the council and will be replaced by the ward candidates where the EFF received most votes. The principle is aimed primarily at awarding those who work for the organization tirelessly and also avoiding a situation where mediocrity is rewarded. The principle of rewarding progress and rejecting mediocrity will henceforth underpin the EFF list process, including in the lead up to 2019 general election. In 2019, the EFF will submit only 2 names for the list of members of parliament before elections, and the remainder of the list will be submitted after election, taking into account individual and collective efforts of members of the Central Command Team, Provincial Command Teams, Regional Command Team, and all members of the EFF. The CCT resolved that the PCT and RCTs of KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape should be dissolved and replaced with CCT-led interim structures, which will rebuild all branches, convene regional people's assemblies only when a minimum of 80% of wards in the region have launched EFF branches, and subsequently convene provincials people assembly constituted by a minimum of 80% of wards in the provinces. The EFF officials and CCT members will pay specific attention to these provinces to ensure that the EFF produces qualitative outcomes for the upcoming elections. The CCT resolved that all Gauteng and Northwest regional command teams and provincial command teams must go to early regional people's assemblies and provincial assemblies respectively. These people's assemblies must be preceded by branch people's and general assemblies on guidelines that will be adopted by the War Council, underpinned by a principle that the region or province can only convene a people assembly when a minimum of 80% of wards in the region or province have EFF branches. In the remaining provinces, the War Council will communicate with the regions that are expected to go to 8 regional people's assemblies and will provide guidelines in that regard. All these efforts are aimed at repositioning and strengthening the EFF as a driver of change, the organizer, mobilizer, agitator, and educator for the attainment of economic freedom in our lifetime. The CCT has reconstituted its War Council, which is the organ that runs the day-to-day activities of the EFF. The War Council is made of top 6 officials and 9 other members of the CCT. The reconstituted War Council has replaced Commissar Vyokas Ketabatle, Nkalsa Mukhosi, and Zagomafanya with Commissar Marshal Dlamini, Roger Kalisa, and Natasha Lowe. The other members of the War Council elected by the first CCT meeting of the First National People's Assembly remain as elected. The EFF has received a resignation letter from the Treasurer General of the EFF as elected in the First National People's Assembly, Commissar Magdalene Munsami. Commissar Munsami has cited that she is overcommitted in the new role as a legal practitioner. Commissar Magdalene Munsami has started her own legal practice called Munsami Attorneys, which will require a full-time attention and focus. This makes it impossible for her to perform the TG functions, which is a full-time responsibility as established in the Constitution of the EFF. Commissar Munsami remains a member of the CCT and will perform duties expected of members of the CCT. As the highest decision-making body between National People's Assemblies, the CCT has appointed Commissar Lien Mateis as the Treasurer General. Commissar Mateis has been a member of the EFF since its inception in 2013 and is a member of the CCT who has been in the Finance Committee. She is currently deployed a member of Parliament in the National Assembly and she has been the National Council of Provinces delegates from 2014 to 2016. The CCT collectively has full confidence in Commissar Lien Mateis and will give her the necessary support to fulfill all her functions and duties with excellence. The CCT resolved to establish Governance Task Unit, which will be presided by the EFF Deputy President and includes national whips and all provincial chairpersons. This GTU will be supported by a highly skilled team of experts, research and policy specialists who will be responsible for provision of support, capacitation, monitoring and evaluation of all EFF public representatives in the National Parliament, provincial legislatures and all municipality councils. The EFF GTU and Political Education Unit has been mandated to immediately convene political and ideological training workshops across all provinces, which will train and prepare EFF councillors on how to become impactful revolutionary people's councillors. The EFF will radically improve its qualitative input and contribution in all municipality councils, provincial legislatures and national parliament because we respect the mandate of the people. The EFF is certain that the future is bright. It is playing an important role in the political reconfiguration taking place in South Africa. The EFF will decisively continue to play a decisive role in the politics of South Africa, and the only direction the movement is taking is upward until capture of political power, capture of state, capture of the economy to redistribute it to all South Africans. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As per tradition, we will take a few questions from the journalists. I will take a round of 5 for now, and then we'll see if more come. More 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 questions for now.
As I'm sure you're aware, Colin Maine making certain allegations that Occupy Luthuli House has somehow been bankrolled by herself and Corporal. Do you want to just respond to what he's been saying?
Okay.
Yes, just to add on that, she says Mr. Dalimbo is funding the demonstrators about 5 million received from the US. And then there is, you spoke about the disbanding of his structures in KZN and Eastern Cape. Can you just give us clarity on that?
All right, good day. My name is Molukumba from Power FM. With regard to your decision to ask PR councillors who performed dismantling, have you communicated that to them? What has been their response? And do you not anticipate revolt from them?
Okay.
Sarah van der Walt from Beeld. It's about a month now after the election. I would just like to know if you're happy with the way the cooperation with the other parties are going at this stage.
Okay, and we'll take a last one.
Mine is a follow-up from the last question. We've seen reports about councillors in the northwest who have been asked to strip naked and not being allowed them to do their jobs because of the EFF regalia. Is there anything that's going to be done about this, or will they have to conform to that council's rules?
Thank you very much. President?
Thank you very much. I think that the Eastern Cape and KZN have weak structures there, and most of them were launched in a hurry towards the elections. And now, since the elections have passed, we need to give ourselves enough time to build qualitative structures which understand and appreciate organizational culture. They must be thoroughly workshopped, they must be trained to understand what it means to work the ground. We are particularly concerned because if we don't get right Eastern Cape and KZN, then we must forget about growing the strength and influence of the EFF in South Africa. So their performance, the inability of structures to appreciate, actually if you check in the Eastern Cape, you find a lot of municipalities without EFF councillors. And that tells you that you have not managed to build qualitative structures in that province. Well, in the EFF, what works is the democratic centralism. And therefore, once the decision has been taken by the higher structures, it's binding on lower structures. We don't expect anyone who's told to resign as a PR councillor to resist, because those individuals have not contested elections. The elections were contested by the EFF, and those positions belong to the EFF. Why would you want to resist the resigning as a PR councillor when you come from a ward that got less than 100 votes for the EFF? A branch of EFF is 100 members. So if you get less than 100 votes in that ward where the PR councillor comes from, it means there is no branch of the EFF. So who are you representing when there is no branch of the EFF where you come from? We are not going to reward laziness. We are not going to reward mediocrity. We must be an organization known for hard work, and it starts where you come from. One of the things that we have tasked our Secretary General is to do is to check members of the Central Command team and members of the Parliament, where they come from, how many votes did they get, and then members of Parliament in the municipalities where they were deployed, if they managed to, in that municipality, to get a double digit. Because you can't be a member of Parliament who can't influence ordinary people to vote for the EFF, and the EFF gets a double digit. It means you are not worth the position you are occupying. So people who are going to participate in the leadership positions of the EFF, especially those that comes with packages, it will have to be people who are working hard. We are led by people who, even where they come from, they don't know that they are leaders of the EFF. So we are forcing them somehow to go and become community activists, to go and build branches, to belong to branches, to be known by ordinary people that indeed these are our servants, these are our leaders. If we are not going to change the modus operandi, we are going to be like the ANC. We are going to harbor a big group of careerists and opportunists who are not doing anything for the organization but continue to benefit from the same organization which they are not helping to build. Some of the people which we are going to be dealing decisively with them is people who are not paying the party levy. People have been members of the EFF legislature and the parliament and all that, and all of us, the organization is deducting not less than 15% from our salaries. But there are people who have been avoiding that. and those people continue to live a lavish lifestyle, yet they don't pay their party dues. The party levy helps the party not to be captured by capital. The party sustains itself through that party levy. So if you allow the party to depend on private donors and not on its members, especially deployed cadres, then you are selling the party to the highest bidder. And that's why we are extremely strict on this party levy thing. All members of the new councils, 826 of them, for the first 3 months were taking half of their salaries. And that money will be used towards repaying the debt which was accumulated during the elections. Why would a person say to us, you are taking too much money? You had your faces on the posters, you had your t-shirts, you had all types of support from the head office. Where do you think that money comes from? You have to pay for it. And if you don't pay for it, some white monopoly capital will pay for it and will start telling the EFF how to behave in South Africa and in Parliament. But equally, taking half of this money from our councillors and from our legislature and MPs, it demonstrates to you, members of the media and the public, that EFF is not funded by anyone. Because there is a narrative that the EFF is funded by London and all those type of things. Why would we take our salaries and finance the EFF if there is too much money from London? So there is no such a thing. Our party is supported and financed by its own members, and particularly those that are deployed in councils and legislatures and parliament. So we are going to be decisively dealing with those who are refusing to contribute that money to the organization because they are actually and effectively stealing from the organization. We have so far suspended the provincial secretary of Mpumalanga because when the party went to deduct the money from his account, he went to the bank and reversed that transaction in an open, clear defiance of the organization. So there are many others like that. The party is still processing them, and towards the end of the week, those who have not complied, their names will be released and how much they are owing to the EFF. We are not going to be a party built on friendship here. There are people who come to this EFF and think that they are just going to benefit from the EFF because they are friends of leaders. All of us have to comply with the decisions of the EFF. All of us have to ensure that we remain disciplined. All those who went to stop our members from participating in the council, their names are recorded and all of them are summarily expelled from the EFF because they defined themselves outside the EFF. The CCT has taken that decision that all of those who blocked, kidnapped our members, refusing them to enter council chambers, by doing that they've already defined themselves outside the EFF, and there's no need to even do anything. They are no longer our members. Something that was supposed to be reflected in this statement as part of the EFF CCT decision. So, and then having done that, we are then going back to say to each and every PR council, which ward do you come from? How many votes did we get from that ward? Then we go and compare that report with the IEC report. Anyone found with less than 100 votes, you don't qualify to represent the EFF. And we are going to take the ward candidate who got the highest vote to replace that one who got less than 100 votes. But if that ward candidate is amongst those who are blocking the EFF councillors from being sworn in, that ward candidate won't be rewarded with a position in the council. Because ill-discipline, rowdiness and hooliganism will never be rewarded in the EFF. When we said to those who are disruptive, wait, the organization will deal with these matters, they thought they were clever than the organization They moved faster than the organization, and therefore they will have themselves to blame. We're not going to be building an organization with a group of anarchists and unruly hooligans. We must be hard on them. We must be decisive on them. EFF is not some charitable organization or some employment agency. If there's anyone who came here to look for a job and thought that local government was the quickest way of resolving their unemployment crisis, and when they couldn't make it, they became disruptive, then they are no longer our members. We can't have such people in our organization. We must build this EFF, build on a solid rock of discipline. And we must not be wishy-washy. That's why when decisions are taken in the CCT, they must be reflected everywhere so that everyone should know what the EFF thinks on these matters of ill discipline. Well, there is no cooperation with any party, so there's nothing to measure. So anyone who asks us of cooperation or coalition, I don't know what you're talking about. We are not in cooperation with anyone. We just voted for them. It ended there. We are in opposition. And that's why when Mashaba speaks nonsense, we're able to say to him, if you continue with that, you'll find yourself on the streets of Johannesburg. We don't go to a meeting to discuss that with him. We just tell him in public, because we have no relationship with DA. Immediately after voting for the DA in Johannesburg and Tshwane, we went to Parliament and we immediately disagreed on public protector to show that there is no any type of relationship between us and the DA. But the immediate threat was the ANC, and it remains the ANC. So we had to deal with the immediate threat, and we dealt with it decisively. What you see today as Occupy Lutuli House, Odio up and down, is as a result of the EFF decisiveness in these metros. If the EFF had given ANC this metro, you are not going to see the internal revolt you see today. Now people feel personally affected. Now the decision of the EFF has hit directly into the pockets of individual leaders of the ANC. Now they are cleverer. They are now realizing if we don't fight, we will indeed find ourselves completely out of power. So we had to deal with an immediate threat. And not because we love the DA. We don't love the DA. We don't take any instruction from the DA. We don't have any relationship with the DA. We still disagree sharply with the DA. And that's why when Mashaba misbehaved, there is no some meeting in some political committee to resolve Mashaba's thing. Publicly he gets reprimanded. Hey, this is not a saloon arrangement. You have to behave proper. Otherwise you'll be in trouble. So that is a demonstration that there is no cooperation or co-governance. Anyone that lives in some illusion and some imagination of coalition, then you've got yourself to blame. You are hallucinating. There is no such a thing. If there was a cooperation or coalition, when Mashaba misbehaved, that would have been subjected to some underground type of political management and got resolved there. So that action by the EFF should have told you that indeed there is no any type of cooperation or coalition with the DA, the IFP, or Service Delivery Forum of Rustenburg or Medzima Holo in Free State. No, we just voted for them to deal with an immediate threat, which was the ANC, and it ended there. And that's how it is going forward. I spoke personally to the SG of the ANC yesterday about the removal of EFF councillors in the councils, and I said to him, it's an unnecessary battle, and we think that the ANC must guide its deployees in those councils. I mean, they will not win that battle. They tried it in Parliament, they tried it here in Gauteng, they tried it in Eastern Cape. It didn't work. So they must stop wanting to appear like they are militant by telling people how they must dress. There's no militancy in that. They are not different from that principal who tells the kids to straighten their hair. It's the same thing. If you don't dress like a European, it means you are not dressed properly. It can't be correct. And it's an unnecessary battle the ANC must actually try to avoid. The ANC must just do away with arrogance. The ANC must start cooperating with other parties and listen to other parties. And stop behaving like they're the most powerful organization in South Africa. They are not. And the indications are very clear. It will be worse for them in 2019. So they must start now to build the relations. They must start now to be humble. They must start now to reach out. And it starts with allowing people to wear what they want to wear in the council. It's not like those people are wearing jeans and tekis and all those type of things that people wear to the social events. They are wearing work suits. That's what our constituency wear when they go to their jobs. And we want our constituency to be seen represented in our councillors and our members of parliament and the legislature. I will allow the chairperson to respond to DP. Don't fold hands.
I was wondering if this thing can pass.
Yeah, it will.
It does. Yeah. Thank you, President. Look, I just want to say that the ANC is obviously in a state of panic. I mean, why would we spend? You've just heard from our president that we are making ends meet with meager resources. Why would we spend 5 million rand, to kill an organization that's already on its deathbed? An organization that is at war with itself, where every single day this one is condemning this one, the following day the other one who condemned the one is condemned by another one, and it's just complete disarray. So the issue, you see, we have said this before, that there is a scientific way in which so-called liberation movements die. They die the way that the ANC is dying. They start by, using normal propaganda tools, will rule until Jesus comes back and those kinds of things. And then they go into capturing the national broadcaster and things like that when that fails. Then when that fails, then they go into vote rigging. When that fails, then they go into repression, which is where we are now. We're in a situation where the ANC is preparing itself to be a massive repressive state, which is what it is doing now when its so-called MK soldiers are now assaulting its own members. So all this talk about the EFF president is a CIA agent, Tulima Donsela is a CIA agent, that Limpopo got money from the USA. They are preparing for repression, because before you apply repression, you must first illegalize, so to speak, your opponents and make them, paint them in a particular way, so that when you take drastic actions against them, the population must say, oh, well, it's understandable. That is what they are doing. Well, we as the EFF, if we want to march to Lutile House, we will march tomorrow. If we want to organize anything against the ANC, we are a lawful organization. Our main focus is to fight the ANC. We don't need conspiracies. We do it every day in parliament, in the streets, in the courts, everywhere. So I don't know what that young man is smoking. I'd never even heard of this chap called Nzuza until this morning. So, the ANC must stop looking for scapegoats and third forces and ghosts. The problem is within the ANC, because it has been rejected, not by us, but by the people of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Take another round. 5. 2. Let's go to
With regards to the pronouncement by Mashaba, taking in a forum that will be designed to discuss contentious issues prior to them being announced in public, or would you rather experience those decisions publicly and then respond to them?
Thank you. President.
Well, we're not partaking in anything outside what are the structures of the council. So decisions of the council will be presented before the council and will participate at that level. So we don't expect Herman Mashaba or anyone to grandstand. They must follow the internal council processes. Herman must not behave like he's got power. He doesn't have any power. So if you go around pronouncing things like you've got power, you're going to embarrass yourself. You see? So if I were him, I would just stop taking too many interviews and just concentrate on doing work and consulting more often with the council for proper decisions to be taken, and only pronounce the decisions of the council. But if you're going to grandstand, you're going to have a problem. You saw that a young man in Tshwane. I told you, the Tshwane mayor, he's just doing his work. He doesn't attempt to become an instant celebrity. No, he's pushing his work, and we're monitoring him. And we're monitoring the PE. And the same way we're monitoring everyone in the executive responsibility, because we're an opposition. That's our work. We must always hold them accountable. We're not joining any DA on any court review, but we're tabling a motion in Parliament to discuss the state of the SAA, because we believe that the SAA is in serious crisis because of Zuma's friend, and we need to rescue that state-owned enterprise, and the EFF will be debating that in Parliament. We actually welcome the initiative by the DA to take the matter to court. We must try everything to stop these criminals. These shenanigans are going on, and we have to find a way of stopping them. I don't understand why would a cabinet still appoint Dudu, even when she failed for such a long time to present financials. That was supposed to be an evidence enough to demonstrate that there is a crisis. And then she now advertised looking for 16 billion from financial institutions. But she doesn't appreciate that the basic requirement is financials. Who's going to give you 16 billion if you can't produce the financials? So she has to, at some point, release those financials. And we know what Dudu is up to in that SAA, and we know the areas where she's going to try and steal, and we have put our ears and our eyes there, and we'll expose her at an appropriate moment. But she's up to no good. She's up to stealing, and they are together with the president to render that institution dysfunctional.
Any more questions?
We're done.
All right, good afternoon. That was the EFF briefing, and my name is Kendall Makamati.
Which we then see is played out that he's this cabinet resolution about it back, inquiry to the bank, and then subsequently presidency and everyone else distances themselves. What do you make of that? I mean, what's going on there?
Well, we started with KB Mapatswe, who admitted that he lied about Ronnie Cassers. We wrote to public protector and the speaker to investigate a deputy minister who admits to lying. To lying. What does the Executive Code of Ethics say about that? And then Zwane comes, he makes false statements. Let's hope they are false, because we don't know who's telling the truth now. everyone can't be trusted, including Pravin himself. So because we are over exaggerating Pravin as well. Pravin is a big problem, and we'll deal with that after this. So Zwane says there's a cabinet decision, and then the spokesperson says there's no cabinet decision. We admit we misled our people, and the ANC says the minister must be reprimanded and disciplined. What do you mean by that? How do you discipline a minister? Somebody must outline that procedure. How do you? Because the ANC must have courage enough to tell Zuma to remove the man. That's a Gupta deployee. Zwane is not known by anyone. No one can take full political responsibility for Zwane. That's what happens when you allow business to deploy its stooges in the cabinet. Zwane is acting on the Gupta's instruction. And Zuma, I don't know if you say Zuma must remove Zwane. Zuma must remove himself. Then we will not have Zwane. If Zuma is gone, we will not have Zwane. We will not have that cook called KB Mapaso. We will not have Van Rooyen. We are in a mess. We will not have Batabile Dlamini and Lindiwe Zulu who gang up to beat up another minister. If you doubted that there was a problem of legitimacy, just look at the conduct of all ministers. They all behave like they are in a shebini. They all behave like they are all drunk. Batagilwe Damin. A new name is Batagilwe Damin. Everybody just look drunk. They all don't appear like they are working on anything tangible to rescue South Africa. Dali has just characterized it properly. They are moving from one crisis to the other. Look at what happened in Western Cape. They got how many persons now? 20 something in Western Cape. You are the opposition. You can still afford to eat each other alive. They release a statement and then followed by another statement denouncing the first statement, then followed by another statement denouncing the one that denounced the other one. This is a party in crisis. Anyone who had a doubt, then there's all this evidence there. Then there comes a man who must come and save us, Pravin, a minister of finance who's got shares in all the companies you can think of. And then we're talking about state capture because the Guptas have captured Zwane. And then we don't speak about how the Ruperts and them have captured Pravin. A white monopoly capital has captured treasury. It's not only Pravin. Anyone else who has assumed that responsibility has been captured by white capital. Trevor has got shares. Nene has got shares. In the same companies that Pravin has got shares. They are all captured. They are all working for white capital. And then you've got these ones who are working for black corrupt capital, which is an immediate threat because it wants to capture treasury. It's tired of getting money through tenders. They want to get it directly from Reserve Bank. So either way, the ANC is controlled. When you take it from Zuma and Zwane and you give it to Pravin, then you are giving it to white monopoly capital. The ANC is not in the hands of the people. It's in the hands of corrupt black capital and white monopoly capital. The ANC has been captured by capital either way you look at it. So there is no messiah in the ANC to rescue the African National Congress. Why would Praveen refuse to go to the Hawks? Who is Praveen after all? Why is Praveen trying to behave like he's untouchable? Behave like if you touch him, this country will collapse. No. You don't correct the wrong by doing wrong. Praveen must subject himself to the Hawks. It doesn't matter how many drunkards are leading the Hawks today. Respect the institution called the Hawks. Because it's not about you, Praveen, it's about institution. After you, the institution remains. So tomorrow, all of us can tell the Hawks where to get off. Because we learned from Praveen. People say, no, there is no law which was compelling him and all that. It's not about the law. When you are called by such institution as a political figure, as an influential someone, in trying to restore and protect the image and the credibility of that institution, you just go. And then go and tell them inside the offices there, show me the law which gives you power to call me here. They will not show it to you, and then you say thank you. But you create and you teach South Africans that when you are called, be scared and respond. So, Renar Mapedi Babanguma Renas, Bagas Pedi Bare, Sibilechwa se achush. So, Praveen just undermines that. Because Yena Achu, she is the most powerful man. He's untouchable. If you touch him, the markets will react. We can't have a minister appointed by markets. You are eroding the power of the president and the political leadership. Some of you are happy because it's happening to Zuma, but you are setting a precedent. Zuma will not be president forever. Let us protect that office of the president. Let us protect the power of that office of the president. We understand it's occupied by a criminal. But let us not create a precedent that will render that office forever useless. Now, when you take over that office, you will want to check who Rupert wants. If Rupert doesn't want, then you can't appoint. Why is Rupert not contesting elections then? And then appoint a finance minister? It can't be. Let the markets contest elections and appoint finance minister. Finance ministers and ministers of cabinet must be appointed by the president. And we must all allow the president that space. Even this criminal, for as long as he's a president, he must be allowed to exercise that authority. But he must know there will be consequences. Like any other president, your appointment must either reaffirm the markets or they will react. And when they react, how do you explain yourself? You have to be accountable. But we must not create a hollow office of president which can't have any power even beyond Zuma, because we created that precedent. We thought we were doing it for Zuma, but we've actually created for all those who are coming. They will never do anything. They will be helpless. They will not have power. The power will be in the hands of the market. It's dangerous for our constitution. There's nowhere in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa where they said the markets will be responsible for the appointment of Minister of Finance. So if there is a man who is directly involved in the conflict of interest, it's Praveen himself. He's got himself to blame. Those things that happened in the SARS and all that, let everyone go and account. We must all account. Let everyone go and account. And sitting from where I'm sitting, I know Praveen did that to me when he was still trying to impress Zuma. And Praveen should know from experience that concocted charges will never stick. So he has got nothing to fear. He knows how the state operates. And therefore, he should be the first one to go because he knows there's nothing to fear. We know when it comes to SARS and its allegations against Praveen, nothing will stick. The only thing which people can have legitimately against Praveen is his business interest, whether it's not compromising him. Minister of Finance having shares in Standard Bank or in the banks, yet he must still supervise an institution that must supervise the banks. That's what we should be talking about, not those things of SARS non-stories of the hawks which are sent by Zuma to harass Pravin. That's not the case. The case is Pravin's business interest, which compromises his objectivity as a Minister of Finance. If you raise that, I'm prepared to listen. Not those things of SARS. That's a concoction. That's political interference. That's political persecution. It has got nothing to do with the wrongs that Pravin did. I was the first one to take a dossier to the former commissioner, Mahashul, about the illegal activities of the so-called rock unit at SARS. I knew about that long time ago. I was the first one to tell them about that. I know who played which role, what the rock unit did, where, and what it did against some of us. But you are not going to use those personal fights we had with them to mobilize us into a fight which is politically motivated to delegitimize Pravin so that you can steal our money at the reserve bank. We're not going to agree to that. We're not going to support any effort that seeks to capture a treasury so that people can have direct access to a reserve bank.
Thank you very much. I'll allow you just one more because you did raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll close the line. Thank you very much.
Yes, I just wanted to ask whether you would commend these young people in the ANC who have decided to go and march to the House, and whether you think there is a chance of saving the ANC with members such as those.
No. I'm very happy they took an initiative. I celebrate their courage. And even when they saw that rented mob of so-called MKMVA, those Nyaope delinquents who were fed hunger the whole night and alcohol to go and beat up those people there today, still the young people were courageous enough to go. I salute them. I always salute fearless people. I salute courageous people. And I tweeted this morning that it's not about numbers. It can't start with the numbers. It has to start with conviction. You have to show people that you believe in what you are talking about. And when they went and presented their memorandum, I was very happy that the young people are standing up and they are speaking their mind. So always when we see the youth taking up action and standing firmly on what they believe in, we celebrate them. We don't care from which party they come from. Like those young girls in Pretoria who were just sitting and watching. I called the school. Actually, that morning, I wanted to go. And I didn't want to go through some dramatic effort. And I just wanted to go and understand. The school refused me. And the following day, I tried. They refused me. I didn't force my way. Because I didn't want to be seen to be disrupting learning. It's a very important thing that we ought to protect at all costs. But I was happy when the girls stood up. And they exposed many of you at your workplaces, where the ENCA journalists, we were told not to wear a duku, and you succumbed. And then there's great, the 16-year-old showed you how it's done. So I think ENCA, you can learn one or two things from you wear the duku now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So the young girls are showing the workers all over South Africa that you must not hesitate. You must stand up and fight, especially when things are wrong and unconstitutional. So every time we see the youth, we're very happy that we are influencing them. Remember, it's the EFF influence, by the way. There's no any other thing. It's EFF influence. When you sit alone, you all appreciate in your own space that it is the EFF that teaches fearlessness. And we're happy that we continue to influence that. We're happy that the ANC cowards are beginning to learn one or two things from the EFF, and from some of us who were there as well in the ANC. That thing of Occupy Lithuli, we did it during the Youth League DC. And there was no MK drunkard there. If there was any drunkard that came that time, would have taught them a lesson. They knew they were not going to cut. They can go now and prevent people from doing what we did. We did that without any drunkard claiming to be MK coming to prevent us. They had no chance. They were not going to do it if we're still there. They can do it with these comrades because they know that maybe they are few and all that. I mean, why would Dali give people 5 million? We organize, if we want to occupy Lithuli House, we can do it. With more people than the ANC people themselves. With not that thing that the DA did. We can organize a big thing. We don't want anyone's permission. We don't have to use anyone. You use people when you are scared of the target. We're not scared of the ANC. We take the ANC head on all the time. Why would we use Lamola, of all people? He doesn't have a history of organizing people, so why would we give him 5 million to go and organize people when he doesn't have a history of organizing people? So we can do it ourselves. But we're happy that Lamola and his people went, and we hope that they will attract more numbers. They must not get tired. I mean, if they genuinely believe in what they are doing, they shouldn't get tired. They will be tired if they don't believe in it. It will take long. It's not an easy thing. We told you we'll remove Zuma as a president. And we're not going to sleep until Zuma is removed. We try everything. Every opportunity we get, we try to remove Zuma. So we welcome those who are joining the struggle to remove this criminal. That's why when we win elections and then there is a hung municipality, we try to use it to remove Zuma. Every little thing we get, we will do it to remove Zuma from office. And we will remove Zuma from office. And with Zuma's removal from office, still the ANC won't recover. Don't be misled. It's not about Zuma. The ANC has lost its credibility and legitimacy as a liberation movement. And it will never recover from that. It will never recover from that. So those of you who are still in the ANC, you are wasting time. You are wasting time. It will not come back. It's going in the direction of all former liberation movements in Africa. The same direction they all travel. The ANC is traveling in the same direction. All of us who are under investigation, they are looking for, every time you speak, they look for a piece of legislation they can persecute you with. Because they can't falter your political arguments. So they use institutional power to suppress dissent. We're permanently under investigation. We're permanently being pursued by state institutions. Because the liberation movement has become irrelevant. So it uses suppression as a way of gaining ground and remaining relevant in the South African body politics. So it's done. What is happening there is just a rot continuing. There's nothing that is going to rescue it. Zwane says this, Zizi says this, Blade says this, Zokwane, Tulasi, Batabile, and then Guedes comes and says everyone must shut up now, no one must speak. Batabile speaks immediately after they said they must not speak. So it's a mess. The center is not holding. The center is collapsed. And there's no... Who's going to rescue the ANC? Because Zuma's lineup is Nkosazana President, D.D. Mabuza, Deputy President, Ace Mahashule, Secretary General. Is that what is going to rescue the ANC? And Nkosazana depends on the mood of Zuma. If Zuma still feels he can stand, then Nkosazana will not stand. Therefore, the lineup is Zuma third term, DD deputy, Ace Makashule secretary general, and then maybe there will be Supra somewhere there as national chairperson and all that. That is the future of the ANC, what I'm talking about. If you think, even those who call for early conference, what will be the outcome of that conference? And will that outcome rescue the ANC? The answer is no. The future of South Africa is in the hands of the EFF. This is where South Africa should look to for solution, not those shenanigans you see there. And then when you go into the other side, is Cyril Ramaphosa, and then Gwede Mantashe. Really? Gwede, Deputy President of South Africa, with Marikana Architecture as President of South Africa. So there's no rescue in this country by the ANC. The solution is in this party, which is growing steadily, nicely. We're building it from the ground. Even when you disband Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal, it's not because the fighters did anything wrong. No, you realize the constitution of structures is in such a way that it will not help you achieve what you want to achieve, particularly in 2019. So you have to give yourself enough time to go and babysit those big provinces so that they give you the desired outcome moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I've sent the statement to your email, but if you want to wait for the